My name is Jim Weynand. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Green Revolution Cooling, or GRC.
Who is GRC?
So GRC is a pioneer in the world of immersion cooling for data centers. We have been doing this for over 10 years, and we're finally at a point in the market where it's about to explode in a positive way.
Okay. What kind of technology and product do you propose?
So this, in technology, we often overuse the term paradigm shift, but this really is a paradigm shift. We are removing the notion of needing air cooling or any of the apparatus to cool air in a data center. It's just incredibly inefficient, no matter how efficient you get it. So what GRC does, we're the world's authority on immersion computing. So you immerse the servers inside of tanks, what we call ice racks, and you can get many, many benefits out of that. Not the most obvious one being, or certainly the most obvious one being that you can dramatically reduce the carbon footprint and the power required to run servers.
You are in this market since 10 years. Why immersion is so slow, so small in the market?
Yeah, it feels like it's been, right? So we've been doing this for 12 years. And the early days were all about developing the intellectual property and the patents around the world and finding clients around the world that were willing to learn and test this with us. And we did a fair amount of that. A lot of large academic supercomputers and the like, where we were able to develop our technology. We finally reached a point, where I realized the real driver of this change at a large scale is the enterprise IT department. They're ultimately the client of the data center. And their big question was, this is all great, but what about my warranty? I've got Dell. I need somebody out here. I'm used to them servicing this. So it was very, very important for us to, at a global scale, develop relationships in the lab with the likes of Intel and Dell and Supermicro and even companies like Vertiv. So large partners that have that trusted relationship in the data center, because that's the real currency of a data center, because you can't take risk in this environment. So it was extremely important for us to do that. And what you're seeing is a recognition that the future has no choice but to be immersion-centric. It's going to be the way we cool data centers, both from a practicality perspective, this is the only way to practically do it, and from a reality that the world is trying to become more environmentally conscious. And from a sustainability point, if you can reduce the size of the land needed, if you can reduce the power by half, has dramatic impact on carbon footprint. And this is a market that really needs to reduce its carbon footprint. So all of these things are coming together at the same time, where you can now, as an example, with Dell, get a warranty for your servers in immersion. And we have a number of customers globally that are implementing Supermicro and Dell and even some other brands in an immersed environment where they do carry the warranty. So you're starting to see this happen. And I think I'm pretty darn sure that over the next 18 months you're going to see an absolute groundswell of clients looking to adopt immersion as their data center strategy.
Okay. We need, if we want to do immersion, we need infrastructure, your product, we need fluid, and we need IT. How do you manage the three inside your product?
Yes, so you need the fluid, and there's nothing magic about any particular fluid. Our fluid, we brand it as electrosafe, and really it's a variety of chemical company fluids, right? So we work with the likes of Intel and with, say, Dell to make sure that a particular fluid is the proper fluid that would carry warranties and that is adapted for the client's application environment. So we're very cognizant of that. We need to be able to source this fluid around the world. So It's the fluid matched with the GRC technology, the cooling units, the Ice Rack Series 10, as well as then carrying that warranty from the OEM server providers because it's been tested and we know it works. So it's very, very important to have all of those together.
Mm-hmm. And you can deploy very quickly also.
We're expecting that we're going to grow dramatically. So we have stood up manufacturing. In the U.S., in Asia, in Japan, and in Asia and China. We're standing up manufacturing in India very short term, and also in Europe shortly thereafter. So, in order to meet the expected demand, it's very important that we're able to ramp up and do this globally. And with today's supply chain, even more important than ever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, your product integrate a PC to pilot it,
Yes.
and
Right.
you are open to other solutions to pilot the data center solution.
We've reached a point where the cooling and the source of the heat has become together, right? You can no longer divorce the technology, the ITC, the information technology communications equipment from the cooling. It's immersed. So it's extraordinarily important that you are working jointly with large OEMs like a Dell, I'll say it again, or a Supermicro, and even Cisco and IBM and others. We can do it with any technology. But it's very important that we partner with these OEMs so that they have a confidence that they can provide the warranty, that it's going to work, that they're not going to put something out there in the wild that's going to come back and fail. It absolutely has to work. Their brand is at stake. And so that's where, frankly, most of our effort goes, is into this joint R&D and development in our labs with these other companies. Mm-hmm. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting. And today you work with Néphélé for the French market.
Yes.
What is your ambition in France and in Europe?
Well, it's interesting that in the last 6 months, we have experienced an absolute explosion of interest in France, more than any other European country. I mean, we see it in other European countries a little bit, in Germany and Italy and Spain and the Nordics and Europe and UK, but France, a ton of interest. So having a partner like Néphélé, who's an agent of ours located here in the Ile-de-France, or frankly in the region, to support and bring this into the market is extraordinarily important to us, because at the end of the day, we need to have partners that are local and understand the local economies and local cultures, and can provide that on, in-person touch that's required. As an example, I meet with the Dell French team later this week about a number of these opportunities, and Néphélé needs to be working with them, right, because it's an integrated solution for the client.
Mm-hmm. Immersion is new, technology and data center. It's a change of paradigm. Could you explain?
Well, this is an absolute change in paradigm. I often joke that when I go into a room full of data center professionals, I feel like an Uber driver in a room full of taxis. Mm-hmm. This is truly different, and it's a way to have lower cost of capital expense, and the decision can be made much more rapidly. You don't have to decide 10 years in advance what your data center needs might be. You can make that decision at the same time you want to implement the technology, the latest IT technology. So very flexible, obviously clearly saves a lot of operating expense in terms of reducing the power. And then there's the benefit that it's great for the environment. And that is just, so you can have it all. You can become more flexible. You can reduce your carbon footprint, take advantage of the latest technology, and spend much less money doing it. It's an easy decision once you understand what that can bring to you.
Yes, but like you imagine, I am a CIO in my company, and I will say to my boss, we will put servers in Fluid. It's completely crazy. It's a complete change.
It sounds insane, right? But we've been doing this for about 12 years. And having the global partnerships with Vertiv, with Dell, with Intel, just to name three, these are very important. These are major brands that understand data center and IT and the absolute need to have a rock solid working product in the wild. So when we're installing immersion cooling and the IT into data centers, it's not this little company trying to do it all on its own. We're doing this in partnership with these major companies that have earned the trust of the data center and IT community over time. And this is a new development in the immersion market. But I think the realization is the technology today, and while we've been doing this for years in a lot of high-performance computing, academic supercomputing, the reality is that today's latest chip technology is being used by enterprises today in order to unlock the company's ability to win in the market. So if you're trying to take advantage of this latest technology, you literally have no alternative than to look at immersion cooling. Once you're in immersion cooling, the compute can continue to upgrade and get hotter and hotter, and you're already set. Voila.
Okay. Could you just give some numbers on the advantages to take with immersion technology?
Some numbers to...
For example, the less energy, more efficiency.
So in a broad perspective, typically you're going to see about a 90% reduction in cooling power required. Very significant. When a computer is immersed, when a server is immersed in fluid, there is no need for fans. Fans are great if you're the Navy and you're running a propeller in water, but they have no point in technology in immersion. Just by turning off the fans or not having fans, our clients report power savings of the server itself of anywhere from 10 to 30%, typically in that 15 to 20% savings. So you reduce the server power, you eliminate all the air cooling power required, so you're basically going to reduce your power in half. Your energy bill, your electric bill, is going to be about 50% of what it traditionally has been. The space required is reduced to about 60% of the overall in an air-cooled environment. Real estate's pretty expensive, especially in a downtown location where many of our clients want to upgrade their existing data centers. They would like to keep them in the city, but you can do that very inexpensively and very flexibly by going with immersion, take advantage of the latest IT technology, and essentially upgrade a 15-year-old data center overnight with very minimal capital expense required to do that. So reduce your footprint, reduce your carbon footprint, size footprint and carbon footprint, reduce your power cost in half, reduce your energy, your cooling power by 90%.
Many CIOs need ROI, return on investment. What do you see in the reality?
So we have a number of calculators that we developed with the likes of Vertiv and other large silicon manufacturers. Many variables at play. Obviously, one of the biggest ones is what is the cost of power. If you're in a place like, say, Singapore, where 27 euro cents per kilowatt hour, we see an ROI measured in months, less than a year. There might be other drivers where power is very, very, very inexpensive. There's other drivers behind that, but typically, the ROI is measured in months.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.